Hi, this is Sandy, and I'm back to work on the signatures for my Western journal. It's taken me a while to get back to it, a lot of other things going on. But I have put together some pages for signatures. I ended up putting together enough for 2. I started to make 3, but then I was afraid that it would get too bulky, and I tend to do that with my journals to where they're awfully fat when you get done and they don't really close right. So I'm trying to be a little more conservative this time in how much paper I put in to begin with, because it always grows as you add different elements to it. So these are the 2 signatures that I'm going to sew into the journal. And I'll just do a quick flip through so you can see what I did. I did some scrapbook paper. This is copy paper. This was a scrapbook paper again, 8.5 by 11. A piece of ledger paper. Scrapbook paper. This was a copy paper, printed copy paper. This was scrapbook paper. And then this was an insert from, junk mail that I thought would be fun to sew into the signature. And then it has, a flip this direction and a flip that direction. So that's the center of that signature. For this signature, once again, scrapbook paper, copy paper, ledger paper, scrapbook paper, copy paper. This is copy paper, scrapbook paper, and then I had this envelope that I thought would be fun in the center of the signature. So those are the 2 signatures that I have put together to sew into my journal. So I've got a few things prepped to sew into the journal. This is what I had created previously on a video, this cover for the Western journal. And so now I just need to sew the signatures into it. So I thought I would show you how I do that in case there's someone who doesn't know how to do it. I know many of you probably do. But I went through and I measured 1 inch down from, just took a scrap piece of paper. You can see this is scrapbook paper, scrap piece. Measured down 1 inch from the top, 1 inch from the bottom, and then tried to guess where the center was. So for the 2 signatures, I have this. This comes from scrapbook.com. It's a pokey tool. Anything that's sharp and can make a hole for you. Also, I should mention I have a foam pad underneath it, which really helps with putting the holes in. So I'm going to put the holes for the 2 signatures. I measured about how wide the spine was, cut the paper that size, and then folded it in half so that I could put the signature basically in half on each side. Okay, so I have the holes for the cover. Now I need to make holes. I'll let you see the holes there for the 2 signatures. My inside cover didn't come out very smooth, but I don't think you'll notice it once the signatures are in there. Now then, for the signatures on the end, I always use binders to help, binder clips to help hold it while I punch the holes in and sew it. Any type of clip or anything would work. These are just, I've got a bunch of these, and so these work really well to put on there. And it just kind of helps hold them together where you want them. And it doesn't really matter whether they're big or small. I just grabbed some. And I'm also going to do that on this other side so it just kind of holds it flat. I think I need to adjust this inside piece a little bit. It didn't look like it was in there quite straight. Okay. Now, I also put a pencil mark in the center where I'd folded it flat because I only need the one set of holes in the middle of the signature. So I decided this was probably the easiest way, trying to leave about the same reveal, the bottom and the top. And I'm just, okay, that should put me pretty much right there in the center of that. If I bend it, it helps me better to see exactly where that bend is at and just poke a hole. You can use a binder clip to hold this on here too, but I don't really find that's necessary. So see, my holes got pretty close to the center of the fold right there. And then I'm going to, instead of doing the other signature now, I'm going to go ahead and show you how I sew in the signature. And then I'll do the other off camera so that you don't have to watch me do this. This is just crochet thread is what I'm using. Some people use the wax thread, but I had all this crochet thread in my stash, and so I've been using it. Works really well for the journals. It's strong, and so it doesn't break very easily. You basically would have to cut it. Okay, this the way I sew my signatures, it's called a 3 pamphlet stitch. So I start, and oh, and I also wanted to mention before I do that, I do about 3 times plus a little bit more of the size of where the thread's going to go. So this, you can see, is a little longer than 3 plus. I have so much of this that I don't mind cutting off a little at the end. I would rather have too much thread than not have enough thread. So I'm going to start by poking this in the middle hole. And then I'm going to come to my cover and find the middle hole and push that through that. And pull it through, leaving, you know, a little bit of a end right here. And then I'm going to put the thread back through the top hole here and find the top hole in my signature. Sorry if I'm not getting it on camera. It's a little awkward. Pull that through until it's tight. Sorry, not on camera. Till that's tight. Then you go down to the bottom hole. stick it through that hole, find the hole in your cover, stick it through that hole, pull it out till that's tight on the inside. This is the extra piece that I started with. Okay, that's tight. Now I'm going back in through the hole in the back. And what I want to do with the needle is come up on the opposite side of that, so that the first piece I started with is on one side of the long string, and then the piece I'm coming up with now will be on the other side. And that means that when I pull them tight and tie them, it will hold everything together. So now I just need to make sure that I get all of that nice and tight. I'm gonna go ahead and take the needle off of there for right now. Pull it nice and tight. And then I just tie a double knot there. Then you can cut off your strings however you'd like to. If you want to put a dangle in the center of your signature, you can leave it longer. I'm just going to cut it so that it doesn't stick out the bottom of the journal. And then I can decide later if I want to cut it off shorter, I can. If I want to add something to it, I can. It just gives me options. So that is one signature sewn in the book. I can take off the binder clips. One signature sewn into the cover. And then the other one will go where these holes are at. And then I decided that would give me plenty of room to add, and hopefully I won't end up with it too big. I've heard it called an alligator mouth by some people, because that's usually what I end up with, is a pretty, it's really wide on the open side. So I'm trying to not do that. I may still end up with that, depending upon how many goodies I insert on the inside. This is what the spine looks like for that part of the signature. I'm thinking I may put a piece of lace over it when I'm done. Sometimes I cover it, sometimes I just leave it. But that's the first signature in my journal. And I still have this nice lovely piece that folds out. So off camera, I'm going to go ahead and put this signature in, and then I will be back in a later video to start making things for the journal and to start adding things into the journal. So thank you for watching my video.